Last night, we were the first to bring you this disturbing video that sent shockwaves through the American law enforcement community and beyond. Disgusting and depressing. But this is not an isolated incident. This is what everyone has to understand. This is just the latest in a long line of examples that demonstrate a growing disrespect for the people and principles that most Americans still hold dear. Since we showed you that awful video last night, another shocking incident surfaced from Harlem as officers there attempted to make an arrest. Now, the reaction to these kinds of attacks was fierce, as you heard right here on the Ingraham angle.
It makes me sick.
To our friends in New York, if you don't take care of your cops, shame on you.
It wouldn't happen if we didn't have a progressive, retrogressive, completely lazy mayor in New York City who is absolutely destroying the quality of life in this city. He's a disgrace.
Though some in the community were still willing to downplay it.
It seemed like the officers were okay with a little water, a little street fun, because people have been throwing water balloons and dousing each other. So that's not uncommon.
Unbelievable. Just like there were some folks who didn't bat an eye hearing things like this.
Pigs in a blanket, fry like bacon. Pigs in a blanket, fry like bacon. Pigs in a blanket, fry like bacon.
Remember, that was during the Obama years. The disrespect of the police has been building since the height of the anti-Vietnam War movement. Now, it was during the chaos outside the 1968 Democratic Convention in Chicago when protesters began using the term pig to describe police officers.
The Youth International Party, Yippies they called themselves, converged on Chicago. They said they were there to protest the war, poverty, racism, and other social ills. Some of them were also determined to provoke a confrontation.
Well, of course, the disrespect of our military vets followed when they returned from overseas.
We did what we were asked to do. Okay, a lot of people didn't like it. There was a lot of flack about it. When we came back, we were spit on, we were called baby killers, so forth and so on. But we did what we felt we needed to do for our country.
God bless him. And then President Reagan, remember, brought us Morning in America. And he helped inspire a new generation of young patriots who were eager to turn the page on that unfortunate chapter. Of course, that didn't stop the left, which had already burrowed into our colleges and into our universities, spreading their view that Reagan was just a warmonger and America was an evil imperialist force. And all the while, the entertainment industry was doing its part, slowly but surely ridiculing and demonizing and disrespecting Republican presidents and the office of the presidency. The disrespect reached every aspect of popular culture, as filmmakers and producers pretty much ridiculed everything about traditional American values and replaced them with something more progressive, or to many of us, regressive. Public and private schools began to disrespect America's founding by teaching a watered-down version of history approved by the politically correct censors. The study of great books by old white racist men, well, that was out. And Howard Zinn's radical A People's History of the United States was in. So after all these years later, should it really come as a surprise when 4 freshman congresswomen equate the crisis at our border to one of history's greatest atrocities?
The United States is running concentration camps on our southern border.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, your colleague who was at the border with you, compared the facilities to a concentration camp. Do you agree with that comparison?
Absolutely. I mean, there are camps and people are being concentrated. This is very simple.
But this just isn't like a garden variety case of historical illiteracy. No, 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 no. We've also seen a disrespect of art, history itself, too, in its full sweep as statues and markers that people had walked by and driven by for decades being ripped down because someone somewhere called them offensive. Even the American flag is disrespected, a reprise from the 1960s. And the national anthem, which we all once stood for, is now a point itself of controversy. Sit it out, and you're a hero. Question the kneelers, and you're a villain. If we don't respect ourselves, our traditions, and our turns of our history, we can't expect our young people, or frankly, visitors to our country, to respect them either.
You know, this is a memorial for the soldiers, right?
Yeah.
Do you speak English?
Yeah.
There's a memorial for the soldiers.
Yeah.
It's not for swimming.
That was actually at the World War II Memorial here in Washington, D.C., a year or so ago. People swimming, not knowing what it really is, just treating it like a day at the beach, commemorating, of course, all those who sacrificed for our liberty in World War II. Unbelievable. Also, let's face it, many don't even respect the need to protect innocent life, unborn or even after they're born.
The bill is passed.
And we don't respect each other, even in front of children and onlookers. Too many don't respect the men and women of ICE or the Border Patrol, many of whom are Hispanic, by the way, and also in uniform, 99.5% of them doing their best under extremely difficult circumstances.
I think abolish ICE is a call to action on several levels.
We need to abolish ICE and end all inhumane deportation and detention programs.
Abolishing ICE protects my families from the militarization that is happening in our neighborhoods.
Listen to the words of disrespect. This isn't minor criticism of the government or even vigorous criticism of the government. This is a wholesale effort to burn it down. And Lord knows that on social media, we don't respect each other at all. Democrats and we Republicans can all do better. But back to how we started, how we treat the men and women in uniform. Many black Americans believe that they are unfairly targeted by police. And many police officers believe they're unfairly targeted too, when they're just trying to do their jobs. And this is how things end up.
Yo, they violated them! They violated them!
Young men sitting in a car laughing at what they think is the humiliation of police officers who are doing everything they could, their jobs. Knowing they'll post the video, you bet, which will get them a lot of likes and maybe some more yucks. No wonder so many cities are having trouble recruiting police today. Would you subject yourself to this abuse day in and day out? Perhaps it was Mike Huckabee last night who said it best.
When there's a crime in the neighborhood, call on somebody with a water hose. See how that works out for you.
Respect and the lack of it. That's the angle.